Good morning. It's Wednesday here in Sydney, which means it's new blog post day. So I'm popping in to give you a bit of a lowdown on today's blog post, which is all about how I prepare for my AIP resets. And it's kind of timely because I received an email from a client who was commenting about how all of these AIP bloggers out there in the webosphere always make it look so easy, and it seems like they never stray from their protocol, and they don't struggle like everybody else does. And it could not be further from the truth. Every single one of us finds this AIP caper really challenging. It's why, there are so many support groups out there for people who are following an autoimmune protocol way of life. Because this shizzle is not easy, right? And it makes us, it's very human for us to stray from the protocol. It's very human for us to have to unpack this big beastie that is AIP and really sort of hone in. Hello, lovely Tish. Nice to see you, Possum. It's very human for us to need to sort of unpack it and prioritize and pick things that, resonate for us, because doing everything AIP at the same time is a really big ask. And I think this is why I'm such a big fan of this, small incremental changes, so that you bed these rituals into your life so they become second nature. And I, before the last AIP Reset program, in a newsletter, wrote a post about how I prepare for my resets. I just sort of chatting about some of the things I was doing. And I received so much feedback about it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to put this into a blog post, because this is not necessarily how you're going to prepare for your AIP caper, for your AIP reset, or for any diet and lifestyle change that you may be pursuing. But you may find a couple of little kernels of things that resonate in here for you. And that's my hope in why I'm sharing it with you. So today I'm talking about how I get my head back in the game when I stray from my protocol. And look, the fact of the matter is, I recalibrate my AIP efforts often, because it is so human for us to stray from the protocol and experience what I call AIP creepage, when life gets in the way, because there are so many conflicting priorities. And also because for me, having a plan, creating rituals, they are some of the best ways for me to actually work on getting my head back in the game. And, if you're a seasoned AIPer, if you've been doing this caper for a while, you know that preparation and planning is half the battle when it comes to really staying the course. And it's about so much more than just a diet. So today, talking about all those things that I do to help me sort of get back on track. And at the moment, it's very relevant for me because I've just had my folks over from New Zealand. We've had my sister's birthday. I've had a friend visiting from across the ditch as well. So I've got a little mild HS flair. It's my body's way of saying, stick to your AIP knitting, Joe. Get back to basics. And so I've decided, as I so often do, that I'm going to actually do my own AIP reset along with all of the other participants in the AIP Reset program in September. So, yeah, it's not my first rodeo. I'm sort of well over 5 years, almost 6 years into this crazy ride. And, I take things back to basics on a regular basis because it helps me to recalibrate, helps me to feel good. I get more mental clarity. I have more energy. I sleep better. I'm just a nicer person to be around. So let's talk about how I prepare for my resets. The first thing that I do is that I get my support crew on board. And that's the number one thing. I think it's really impossible to do this unless you have the support of your nearest and dearest. So for me, that's my partner, David. But your support team doesn't have to be a partner. If you're single, it can be your mum and dad, it can be your best friend, you can have an AIP buddy, you can be part of a group who supports each other. It doesn't really matter who your support crew is, it just matters that you have a support crew. But for me, David is kind of my backstop dude. He understands, he's been doing this thing with me now for so long. He helps me to ride the AIP waves, if you like. He's like my cheering squad. So he prepares AIP friendly meals for me when it's his turn to cook. We don't plan any big social events when I'm doing a reset because that's sort of it's a recipe for disaster. Because when I'm around other people, that's when when I'm in a social environment, that's when I sort of want to break the protocol because I get a kick out of, being engaged and socializing. It's actually when I want to have a glass of wine, which is off the table during my 30 days of resetting. So instead, we take the opportunity to sort of have some low-key time together. And things like, evening walks by the beach. So more incidental exercise, so that's a bonus in itself. And he tends to pick up the slack even more than usual, but he also checks in with me as well. Hello, Miss Emma in the UK. Lovely to see you. He checks in with me. So he makes sure that, my mindset, my mental headspace is where it should be. And it's really lovely having somebody that does that. So if you don't have somebody in your life that takes that role, maybe something to consider. Is there somebody that you could call on who can take that role for you? Something to consider. The second thing that I do, is I get busy in the kitchen because it's impossible, in my view, to do an AIP reset of any description without spending a little bit of time in the kitchen with preparation and planning. Now, I am not a meal planner. All these fancy schmancy meal plans that you find around the traps, that is not me. I don't plan my meals. I'm a lot more fluid, go with the flow kind of girl, but I do lay down some basic prep before I head into a reset. So on those days that I just cannot face the kitchen, I have a backup plan in the freezer. So about sort of a month or so out of reset, I do a bit of an audit of my pantry and I order some of the more hard to find AIP friendly stuff. And for me, iHerb is my best friend. But we're just about to have AIP Pantry launch down here in Australia. Very excited about that. So hopefully very soon we're going to have a local resource that I can call on for some of those harder to find AIP staples. I make a massive batch of bone broth. And when I say massive, I mean I have a stockpile in the freezer. I freeze my bone broth in 500 ml or half litre. What's that? What's half a litre for you guys up there in the US? Is that sort of, it's close to half a quart, is it? I don't know. And I portion that up and have that in the freezer so it's ready for soups and braises and stews and all that good stuff. I rice a very large cauliflower and I freeze that into portions so that I've got frozen vegetables at my fingertips. I ferment a massive jar of vegetables. And show and tell time today, girls. This is the one that I made over the weekend. This is my golden kraut. I actually have another jar as well. So I went a bit crazy. There's a recipe over on joannafrankham.com for how I make my golden kraut. So this has got green cabbage, daikon radish, carrots, ginger, turmeric, garlic. I feel like it's got something else in there. Can't remember. It is huge, Em, and this is not the only jar. Normally I do these in a crock, but you can't see a lot in a crock, so I put this one in a jar so you could see it. This stuff it's like nirvana for your gut. It's so full of probiotic goodness. And it's so easy to make. It's just organic vegetables and salt, and it's laid down, and it's going to be ready and so fantastically funky and good for me to add to my meals when I start my reset in September. I whip up a massive batch of duck or chicken liver pate. How long does it last? How long does it last as in how long does it take me to eat it? Or how long does it last as in how long does it last in the fridge, Em? This baby will last a while, although David loves it as well. We will have a large spoonful of this with every savoury meal. And in terms of how long it lasts in the fridge, there is no use-by date. It will continue to ferment when it's in the fridge, but it slows right down, and it just gets funkier and better for me over time. But it doesn't. I've never had one go off. Hope that answers your question. Oh, how long does it take me to eat? Oh, that'll take a while, but I also have a sister who sort of turns up on a Saturday morning and goes to my fridge and says, have you got any ferments for me? So, swings and roundabouts, they get given away. Makes for great presents. Good question. So a large spoonful with every savoury meal. And usually when I get down to about a half litre jar is when that's my signal that I need to make another batch so that I don't run out. What else do I do? I whip up some chicken or duck liver pate and I freeze it in little portion sizes. And I always prepare, Bex says, but if you lived here, you'd get some too, Miss M. Another reason for you to come and visit. Always have some sort of slow braise or two in the freezer for those nights that I just can't face cooking. And that goes usually really well with riced cauliflower. Takes no time to cook or reheat. So current favourites for me, I make a ragu bolognese. I know how much you love your liver pate, Miss M. So a ragu bolognese, and that's really good to have over zoodles, zucchini noodles. And then I have one of my favourites is a herbed slow cooked lamb shank recipe, and I shred it. So it's a bit like a ragu. I take it off the bone, and then I can just have that over coconut rice with a side of fermented veggies, and it makes life really easy. So all of that is prepared in advance, right? But it's a very ritualized process, and it's kind of a form of self-care as I go through and do this, because I know that I'm going to be doing my body good as it's a gift that I'm giving myself. But during reset month, during the course of my reset, when I'm back to AIP basics, I'm more diligent about how I shop at the farmers market. So my fresh food. Yes, coconut cauliflower rice. Yum. And that's the beauty of having that coconut rice ready in portion sizes in the freezer, right? Because you can do so much with it. It is such a versatile little number to have in portion sizes. So I don't shop at the supermarket. I go to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning. It's one of the reasons that I'm not a big meal planner, because I look at what's in season and I'm just a bit fluid about how I prepare my food. But I do make sure that I have, thanks for that shout out, Miss N. I make sure that I have the makings for a daily healing green broth. Now, if you are not familiar with healing green broth, Stephanie over at Fresh Tart is the creator of this amazing elixir, which is a great way for you to get loads and loads of gut healing goodness into your day. Bone broth, healthy fat, lots of leafy greens, herbs, a little bit of lemon juice for a bit of bite. She's just a legend for doing this, and she has a 30-day challenge, so check that out over at Fresh Tart, Stephanie. It is like a battery pack, I agree. It sort of just gives you a bit of a wake-up call. My cooking day is Sunday, so on Sundays I whip up a large tray of roasted vegetables. They are my lifesaver. They're my go-to for maximizing my nutrient density in a very quick way. I make a soup equation soup on a Sunday. So with whatever vegetable is in season, it is an opportunity for me to get more seasonal organic produce into my gut, into my diet in a very easy way. I make a Lucky Dip green sauce. So this is my AIP friendly, so completely dairy free, sort of pesto cum salsa verde. I call it my Lucky Dip sauce because it's made with whatever leafy greens I have to hand. And I use that, I drizzle it over roasted vegetables, over meat braisers. I put it into soup. I use it wherever I can. I just love the stuff. And it's a really good way to get more leafy greens into my diet. And we know how good they are for me. All of those recipes are in the blog post, and links to all of those recipes are in the blog post. So, go and check it out. I'd love you to do that. Hello, Miss Linda, over in the Napa Valley. Lovely to see you. And the third thing, so we've got one is get your support team. Oh, yum, on pork chops. Yum. Now I'm hungry. Get your support team in place. 2, get busy in the kitchen with whatever rituals work for you. Get that AIP recipe ritual thing into your routine. And the third thing that I do is set some personal goals. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I am a massive advocate for regularly setting goals. And for me, this is a way to chunk down that autoimmune protocol framework into the priorities for me at the moment. So I look at all the different aspects to the autoimmune protocol, and I look at what really resonates for me at the moment. I've mentioned this. AIP is a big, big beastie. Massive, yes. So it really is impossible for us to hit all of those balls at the same time. So the best way for me to do this and to be successful is to break that framework down into manageable size, bite-sized chunks, if you like. So I identify my top 3 priorities for this reset, and these evolve and change depending on where I'm at. They're not limited to reset months. I do them every month. And I guess the other side benefit of setting goals like this is that it gives me something to celebrate at the end when I've achieved something. So in September, for me, nutrient density is pretty much a consistent priority, and it's very common for my goals to reflect this. So for me, this coming September, I think there's going to be something around fish and seafood, something related to eating more seafood so that I can get some balance between my omega-6s and omega-3s. And I'm currently on a bit of a personal mission to increase my incidental exercise. So that's going to be some sort of target for me. And I think another area for me at the moment is spending time outside. I have this tendency to become very consumed and sit at my desk too much. I live in Australia, and even in the middle of winter, we're having these wonderfully sunny days. So spending more time outside, getting those vitamin D benefits, and just being in nature. So I think those are going to be the direction that my 3 goals for AIP Reset in September are going to be, although that's subject to change. So I guess those are the 3 main areas for me when I'm preparing for an AIP Reset. I'd love to know what you do when you're preparing to sort of recalibrate your AIP efforts, what you do to help get yourself back on track. If you've got any tricks or tips, because I'm sure that if they work for you, they'll work for somebody else as well. And just a little, oh yay, Miss M. That'll be fantastic to have you. And I'm sure that some of our regular resetters will love having the old guard back. Recalibrate your pantry. And actually, I talked about the pantry earlier in the vid, Linda, before you joined us. That's a big part of it. Because things slip in, don't they? Yes, I know. I know. So, Em, that's just a reminder to me to just mention until the end of July, if you sign up to AIP. Hello, Miss Erin. So lovely to see you. If you sign up before the end of July for the AIP Reset in September, it's our 30-day Refind Your AIP Groove program. If you sign up before the end of July, there's a 20% pre-sale discount. So registration is open, aipreset.com. If you enter September pre-sale at checkout, there's a 20% discount if you sign up before the end of the month. No, Linda, it's the, what does David call it? He's got a name for it. But I don't know how it slips in there either. So it's one of the reasons that we sit down and we talk about what my needs are. He talks about what his needs are as well. My view is I'm not his mum. He can eat what he likes when he's outside the house. But when I'm in a reset, I need him to support me because, if it's in the house, I'm going to eat it when I get the hangry. So, it's about setting myself up to succeed and having little routines and rituals that support me to succeed. Because otherwise I end up beating myself up when I don't. And I feel so much better when I'm following the protocol in a way that's very nutrient dense. I quite like the Hungry Elf. I might steal the Hungry Elf idea, Em. I can't wait for you to come and visit me. All of you, come to visit in Australia and we'll go to the Carriage Works Farmers Market because it's a mecca for AIPers. It really is. And when Mickey Trescott was down here, it was the first thing we did when she got off the plane. She flew in from the US, she got off the plane, and we went straight to the farmers market. So it really is a wonderful place if you are serious about nutrient density. No, me neither, Linda. Me neither. It's made all the difference. Absolutely. So, thank you for coming and checking in with me while I'm talking about what I do to prepare for my AIP resets. I'm going to put a link to that blog post into the video as soon as I finish today. And I hope to see some of you in AIP Reset in September. Thank you so much. I'm excited to see you in September, Miss M, and you, Linda, and anybody else who's going to come and join. So thank you. Over and out from me. I will see you again on Friday for the sunrise chicken. Over and out.